Did you know that in 2025, airport security screenings are no longer just about liquids, laptops, or metal detectors? Hidden algorithms, biometric red flags, and political profiling are quietly reshaping the way travelers are flagged and denied. In fact, you could be doing everything right, have a valid passport, a clean record, and still get pulled aside, interrogated, or worse, miss your flight without ever being told why. What's happening behind those security lines is no longer just about safety. It's about something deeper, more political, and far more personal. If you're flying this year, you need to hear this, because the TSA isn't warning you, but these mistakes, they're being watched. This isn't just a story about overzealous airport guards or one-off bad luck at the security checkpoint. What's unfolding in 2025 is part of a much bigger shift, one that connects global politics, digital surveillance, and rising geopolitical tensions in ways most travelers realize until they're already trapped in it. Let's zoom out for a moment. Airports have always been flashpoints for power. Borders compressed into a few security lanes. But this year, we're seeing something different. Nations are tightening control, not just at immigration counters, but right at the security gate, long before you even reach customs. There's a new wave of what I'd call soft exclusion sweeping across global airports. It's not a stamped denial in your passport or a dramatic arrest. It's a pattern of small humiliations, additional screenings, secret watch lists, unexplained delays, and flights mysteriously canceled or missed due to system errors. These trends are fueled by real-world crises. Migration debates are intensifying. Conflicts like the Russia-Ukraine war, the Gaza situation, US-China tech tensions are spilling into travel policies. Add to that the rise in AI-based passenger risk scoring, and UVA got a system that's no longer just looking for weapons. It's scanning your travel history, your nationality, even your social media footprint. The result? Entire groups of travelers are being quietly penalized based on factors that have little to do with airport security and everything to do with geopolitics. Let me be clear. This isn't just about the US TSA or one country's paranoia. It's happening in Europe. It's in Asia, in the Middle East. And yes, even in countries once thought of as neutral or tourist-friendly. And if you're still relying on outdated travel advice, like showing up early, being polite, or keeping your bags light, you're missing the real story. Because in 2025, airport security has evolved into something far more unpredictable and sometimes unspoken. Let's go country by country and uncover what's really changing. Let us begin with a country long seen as the friendly neighbor and a safe haven for American travelers, Canada. But in 2025, that perception is shifting. Number 1, Canada, America's backup plan. Not anymore. Historically, Canada's open borders and relatively lenient visa policies made it a favored fallback for Americans facing travel hurdles elsewhere. Yet, recent changes at Canadian airports reveal a different story. New security protocols now include in-depth digital screenings and expanded cooperation with U.S. intelligence agencies. The result? An American journalist I spoke with was detained for 6 hours at Toronto, Pearson, after returning from a reporting trip to South America. Despite holding dual citizenship and a spotless record, she faced repeated questioning. Her phone was searched, and ultimately, she missed her connection. Officials cited security concerns without elaboration. Public outcry in Canadian media raised questions about privacy and sovereignty, sparking debates on how much influence U.S. policies should have north of the border. This story underscores a larger irony. In 2025, Canada's reputation as a refuge for American travelers is eroding quietly, caught between its own security mandates and international pressure. Moving on to number 2, the United Kingdom. Once the ultimate gateway for Americans touring Europe, Brexiteer Britain is now known for a quietly tightening grip on who crosses its borders. Heathrow Airport's new AI-driven passenger profiling system evaluates travelers on subtle behavioral cues, everything from eye movement to nervousness. An American student en route to Oxford was refused entry after her return flight was booked, slightly beyond 6 months, seemingly minor detail, but enough under the new firm intention to leave policy. British tabloids briefly covered the incident, but government officials framed it as necessary to protect national interests. It highlights how digital gatekeeping is reshaping old immigration standards into nuanced barriers that many travelers never anticipate. Number 3. Singapore. Renowned for its efficiency and strict laws, Singapore in 2025 has integrated biometric thermal imaging into its screening process, not just for health reasons, but to detect physiological stress markers indicating potential risk. A Malaysian-American entrepreneur recently found himself held for hours after being flagged due to recent business trips in the Middle East. While no laws were broken, he was advised to avoid travel to certain regions in the future. The Singaporean government's rationale centers on preemptive security, but critics warn this veers into intrusive territory that can unfairly target innocent travelers. Number 4. Australia. The Digital Traveler History Index, introduced early in 2025, pulls data from Five Eyes intelligence partners, including the U.S. This means that American travelers' past political activities, such as participation in protests or online activism, may influence their entry eligibility. An American couple traveling on work visas was denied boarding in Sydney due to past attendance at an anti-war demonstration in Chicago, a completely legal activity in the U.S., but one that apparently raised red flags abroad. Their case barely made headlines, but speaks volumes about how personal freedoms at home can become liabilities internationally. Number 5. The United Arab Emirates. Dubai's ultra-modern airport, a symbol of luxury and connectivity, now also hosts some of the most sophisticated surveillance tech worldwide. Facial recognition scans cross-reference social media profiles with government databases. A U.S. tech executive was denied entry after his online posts criticizing Middle Eastern surveillance policies were flagged. Though no formal charges were filed, the administrative discretion exercised here sends a chilling message about how digital footprints increasingly define travelers' fates. Number 6. Germany. Long seen as a bastion of fair immigration practices, Germany's approach in 2025 has grown more bureaucratic and restrictive. Each of these examples shows how American travelers, once symbols of global mobility, are now navigating a maze of new rules, silent watch lists, and algorithmic judgments. What ties these stories together isn't just policy. It's the growing impact of technology, data sharing, and geopolitical tension on the everyday traveler. There's more going on here than just enhanced security. These policies quietly reshape the meaning of borders and redefine who is welcome and who is not. In a way that is often unspoken and poorly understood, now that we've examined the country-by-country reality, a deeper, more troubling pattern starts to emerge, one that's easy to miss if you look at each case in isolation, but impossible to ignore when viewed together. This isn't just about tighter borders. It's about the evolution of global travel into a complex system of invisible scoring, political alignment, and algorithmic judgment. What's happening in 2025 is a shift from traditional, transparent immigration policy to what I'd call soft exclusion through silent metrics. Instead of denying entry outright with stamped rejections, many countries now prefer the subtler route: unexplainable delays, secondary screenings, or simply letting the traveler give up voluntarily out of frustration or fear. It looks cleaner on the surface. It's less likely to spark headlines. But the outcome is the same: selectivity without accountability. And there's a deeper question looming beneath all this. Is this protectionism, or is it payback? You see, for decades, Western countries, especially the US, UK, and Australia, set the rules of the travel world. Their passports were golden keys, their security demands often unilateral. They fingerprinted, screened, and interrogated travelers from the global south without much concern for reciprocity. But in 2025, the tides are turning. Nations once seen as passive or peripheral are asserting their own rules. They're tracking travel history, scanning social media, and in some cases, scoring Americans with the same blunt systems the U.S. used abroad for years. It's as if the world has quietly decided, you played the game, now so will we. And the tools that make all this possible, it's not tanks or walls, but data. Real-time analytics, facial recognition, deep metadata tied to everything from your browsing habits to your past political activity. Travelers are being judged not just by where they've been, but who they are, what they post, what they might believe. Here's the thing. Most of this is completely legal, because it's not about laws. It's about discretion. The right to refuse entry without explanation is baked into the sovereign power of every nation-state. Combine that with predictive AI systems that flag unusual behavior, and you've got a border that doesn't just guard territory, it curates identity. You might pass through 5 airports with no issue, only to get stopped at the 6th. Never know why. Worse, there's little recourse. No appeals process. No official blacklist to check. The systems are opaque by design, protected by national security loopholes and private tech partnerships. The irony: you might be flagged by a foreign government based on data collected by your own. So while most travelers are still obsessing over what to pack, or which terminal has the shortest line, the real danger is already in the system, in silent, invisible, algorithmic. So here we are, in a world where your passport still matters, but not nearly as much as your digital footprint. In 2025, airport security is no longer just a checkpoint. It's a checkpoint with memory. Every trip, every tweet, every search, every visa stamp. Part of a profile you don't control and can't see. And the big question we all need to ask is the American passport, once the most powerful in the world, quietly losing its privilege? Because while U.S. travelers still enjoy access to more countries than most, what they often don't realize is that the welcome mat is thinner than ever. The rules haven't been rewritten, they've been recoded. Visa nationalism is no longer about who's allowed in. It's about how silently and selectively you're filtered out. And this isn't just about Americans. It's about every global citizen who assumed that being polite, prepared, and punctual was enough. It's not. We're re-entering an era where being low-risk isn't based on what you do. It's based on what a silent algorithm thinks you might do. And once you're on the wrong side of that system, there's no gate agent who can help you. No embassy line that moves fast enough. So what should you do? Start by staying informed. Not just about travel hacks, but about the politics behind the policies. Pay attention to which countries are quietly forming data alliances. Understand what metadata you're leaving behind. Be aware of your own digital trail. And yes, travel with intention, because ignorance is no longer an excuse at 30,000 feet. And if you've ever experienced something strange, a missed flight that didn't make sense, a security check that felt oddly personal, or an unexplained border denial, share it in the comments. You might not be alone. In fact, you might be part of a much larger pattern. In our next video, we'll explore something a little more hopeful. 10 countries still welcoming travelers with open arms in 2025, where policy people and technology are being used not to shut borders, but to build bridges. But for now, wherever you're flying next, remember, the real screening doesn't start at the scanner. It starts the moment you book your ticket. Safe travels if they'll let you in.